The alarm goes off, and before your feet even hit the floor, you're already scrolling. It's automatic, isn't it? The blue light hits your eyes, your thumb starts that familiar rhythm, and suddenly you're 5 minutes behind schedule before you've even brushed your teeth. Then comes the inbox. You open it up, and it's already overflowing. A dozen requests, 3 urgent flags, and a meeting invite for 8 a.m. You rush through your morning routine, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, trying to clear the notifications, trying to get ahead. But the faster you move, the faster the messages seem to come in. By the time you get to work, your calendar is a solid block of color, meeting after meeting after meeting. You spend the whole day reacting, responding to pings, putting out fires, saying yes when you want to say no. And then you get home, exhausted, and you realize you didn't actually do anything today. You were busy every single second, but you accomplished nothing that mattered to you. It feels like you're on a treadmill that never stops. You're running as fast as you can just to stay in the same place. This modern exhaustion, this feeling of being constantly behind, is what authors Knapp and Zeratsky call the busy bandwagon. In their book, Make Time, they describe this bandwagon as our culture's obsession with constant motion. It's the mindset that tells us if we aren't filling every minute with productivity, we're failing. But there's a second force at play here too. They call them the infinity pools. These are the apps, the social media feeds, the streaming services, anything with endless, replenishing content. If you can pull to refresh, it's an infinity pool. These two forces, the pressure to be busy and the temptation to be distracted, squeeze us from both sides.
And here is the irony. Jake and John aren't just observers of this system. They helped build it. They are former tech designers from Google and YouTube. Jake helped build Gmail, the very tool that keeps us on the busy bandwagon. John worked on YouTube, the ultimate infinity pool. They saw firsthand how these technologies were designed to steal our attention, and they realized they were falling victim to their own creations. They found themselves missing moments with their kids, missing out on their own hobbies, just to feed the machine they helped create. So they decided to run an experiment on themselves to find a way out. That brings us to the central question of this journey we are about to take, a question that might make you uncomfortable, but is necessary to ask. Do you control your time, or does your time control you?
Do you control your time, or does your time control you? It's a heavy question, isn't it? Welcome back to The Last Read, books for your ears, wisdom for your life. If you haven't already, take a second to hit that subscribe button right now. You don't want to keep missing out on life's best wisdom. Today, we are diving into a book that challenges the very foundation of how we view getting things done. It's called Make Time. And let me be clear right out of the gate, this is not a productivity guide. It is not about how to squeeze more hours into your day or how to cross more items off your to-do list. In fact, it's arguably the opposite. It is a manifesto to do less, but better. The authors, Knapp and Zeratsky, aren't just theoreticians, they are the insiders. These are the ex-Google designers who actually helped build the very systems that are currently fragmenting our attention: Gmail, YouTube, Google Hangouts. They realized that the defaults of modern life were set to distracted and exhausted, so they designed a way out. They developed a simple 4-step framework to help you reset those defaults. It's a daily system: highlight, laser, energize, and reflect, that helps you escape the chaos. We are going to break that framework down in detail later in this episode, and trust me, you're going to want to hear it. By the way, if you want to grab the hard copy of the book to follow along, which I highly recommend, the link is right there in the description. But before we get to the solution, we have to understand the trap. The authors describe something terrifyingly accurate called infinity pools. You know them well, even if you've never heard the name. They are the apps, the feeds, the always refreshing sources of content that are secretly stealing your happiness one pull to refresh at a time. And the people who built them? They call themselves something rather unexpected. Time Dorks. Yeah, seriously. Jake Knapp and John Zeratsky actually refer to themselves as Time Dorks. But don't let the goofy name fool you. These guys are serious tech heavyweights. In fact, they are the ultimate insiders. Jake spent 10 years at Google, where he helped build Gmail and Google Hangouts. John was a design lead at YouTube. So if you've ever felt addicted to your email or found yourself spiraling down a YouTube rabbit hole at 2 a.m., well, you can technically blame these two. They literally help design the buttons, the notifications, and the endless feeds that keep us hooked. But here is the twist. They started feeling the effects of their own creations. Jake talks about coming home to his kids and realizing he was physically there, but mentally checking emails on his phone. John noticed days slipping by in a blur of productive busyness without actually getting the important stuff done. They realized they had spent their careers designing products to steal your time, and now they wanted to design a system to steal it back.
And because they are designers, they didn't write a strict rule book. They didn't say, you must wake up at 4 a.m. and drink kale smoothies. Instead, they treated time management exactly like a software problem. They applied the concept of the design sprint, a process Jake invented at Google to test ideas quickly. The philosophy is simple. Treat your life like an experiment. You try a tactic, see if it works, and if it doesn't, you tweak it. No guilt, just data. But before you can start running these experiments in your own life, you have to understand exactly what you're up against. Because according to Jake and John, there are two invisible forces constantly fighting for every minute of your day, and you probably don't even know they're there.
So, what are these invisible enemies? First up, you have the busy bandwagon. This is that nagging societal pressure that tells us to be constantly doing something. It's the mindset that says, if you aren't overworked, you aren't important. It's the 9-to-5 grind, the overflowing calendar, and the obsession with inbox zero. The busy bandwagon tells you that the secret to success is to fill every single minute with productivity. And then, waiting to catch you when you fall off the wagon, are the infinity pools.
These are the apps and services with no bottom. You know the ones: Instagram, TikTok, the 24-hour news cycle, streaming services. They are designed with always new content. As Jake and John put it, if you can pull to refresh, it's an infinity pool. They are the reward we give ourselves for staying on the busy bandwagon, but they end up sucking away whatever energy we have left. Now here is the critical part. Caught between the pressure to be busy and the lure of endless distraction, most of us are just running on default. We accept the default settings of our lives. We accept that if a phone buzzes, we check it. If an email lands, we answer it. Think of it like a water faucet that is stuck in the on position.
Right now, the information and demands are just pouring out endlessly, and we are scrambling to catch the water in a bucket. We think the solution is to get a bigger bucket or to scoop faster, but the Time Dorks argue that we're solving the wrong problem. We don't need faster scooping skills. We need to figure out how to manually reach over and turn the faucet off. Because once you stop that endless flow of defaults, you realize that you actually have the power to choose what fills your bucket. And that starts with making one very specific decision every single morning. Making one very specific decision every single morning. And that decision is simply, what is my highlight? Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, great, another item for my to-do list. But Jake Knapp and John Zeratsky are very clear about this. A highlight is not the same thing as a to-do list item. See, a standard to-do list is mechanical. It's often just a reaction to other people's demands. Answer this email, file that report, buy this thing. If you let a to-do list run your life, you are essentially letting other people write your script. A highlight is different. A highlight is your choice. It's the one thing that you prioritize above everything else. It's the bright spot, the thing that when you look back on your day, you'll be able to say, I'm glad I did that.
The authors suggest there are 3 criteria you can use to pick your highlight, and you can rotate them depending on what your life needs that day. First, there's urgency. This is the classic what must happen today. Maybe you have a project due or a bill to pay. Second is satisfaction. This is for those things that aren't necessarily on fire, but getting them done feels amazing, like finally finishing a proposal or cleaning out the garage. And the third one, and this is the one we often forget, is joy. A highlight can be something you do just for the fun of it. So let's look at a realistic example. Imagine you wake up and your phone is already blowing up with 50 unread emails. The default reaction is to dive in and start shoveling. But if you're using the make time method, you might pause and say, no, my highlight today is to cook a nice dinner for my family.
That's it. That is the priority. Sure, you might still answer some emails later, but the dinner is the main event. And unlike the emails, which will just fill up again tomorrow, that dinner is a memory. It's intentional. But here is the catch. Identifying your highlight is only the first step. Once you've chosen that one thing, you have to protect it. You have to defend it against the armies of the busy bandwagon and the infinity pools. And to do that, you need to go into what the authors call laser mode. And getting into laser mode might require doing something that sounds absolutely terrifying to most of us, something involving that rectangular device in your pocket. Deleting your email and social media apps. I know, just saying it out loud feels a little radical, but this is the core of the second step in the Make Time framework, which the authors call laser. Now, laser isn't just about trying harder to concentrate. It's not about gritting your teeth and forcing yourself to work. It is about creating a system where focus happens naturally by removing the things that constantly break it. And the boldest tactic they offer for this is the distraction-free phone. Here is the logic, and it is deceptively simple. If you want to focus on your highlight, you cannot carry a slot machine in your pocket. You have to remove the infinity pools, those apps like Instagram, Twitter, or email that have no bottom, the ones you can scroll through forever. The authors use a brilliant analogy here involving cookies. Imagine you are trying to eat healthy. If you keep a plate of fresh, warm chocolate chip cookies right on your kitchen counter, you are going to eat them. It doesn't matter how much willpower you have. Eventually, you will grab a cookie. But if you leave those cookies at the grocery store, it is a different story. You could still have them, but you would have to put on your shoes, find your keys, drive to the store, and buy them. That little bit of friction makes all the difference. You probably won't do it. Deleting the apps from your phone is moving the cookies to the grocery store. You aren't quitting the internet forever. You are just deciding that if you want to check Facebook, you have to do it on a desktop computer or log in through a clunky web browser. You add friction. And when you do this, something remarkable happens. You enter laser mode. It is that feeling of being completely in the zone, fully engaged in the moment, like a laser beam locked onto a target. It is the quiet satisfaction of looking up from your work or that dinner with your family and realizing you haven't thought about your phone in hours. However, there is a physical cost to this kind of intense focus. Staying in laser mode requires fuel. You can have the best plan in the world and you can banish every distraction. But if your brain is foggy and your body is exhausted, you still won't get anything done. And this brings us to a fundamental misunderstanding most of us have about productivity. We tend to treat our bodies like computers, thinking we can just plug in and process data indefinitely. But the authors remind us that, biologically speaking, we are still very much something else entirely. So, if we aren't computers, what are we? Well, the authors, Knapp and John Zeratsky, have a pretty simple answer. They remind us that, biologically speaking, we are essentially cavemen. This brings us to the third step in the Make Time framework, Energize. See, we tend to treat our bodies like inconvenient vessels for our brains, like we can just pour coffee in the top and expect productivity to come out the bottom. But the book argues that our brains and bodies are connected. If you want mental energy for that laser focus we just talked about, you need physical energy.
You need to treat your body a little less like a machine and a little more like a prehistoric hunter-gatherer. The authors actually introduce a character named Urk to illustrate this. Urk is a caveman. He walks around all day, he eats plants and meat, he sleeps when it gets dark, and he definitely doesn't have a smartphone. And the point is, Urk has great energy.
But modern life? It's basically designed to drain us. We sit in chairs for 8 hours, we eat processed food that comes in boxes, and we stare at glowing rectangles until midnight. So the Energize step is all about going back to basics. It's about eating real food, moving your body, and disconnecting. Take lunch, for example. In the corporate world, the productive thing to do is usually eating a sandwich with one hand while typing emails with the other. But the Energize approach would be to actually step away, go outside, see the sunlight. Imagine this. Instead of hunching over your keyboard, you take 20 minutes to walk to a nearby park. You eat a salad, something with actual nutrients, not just empty carbs, and you leave your phone at the office. You are moving, you are fueling up, and you are giving your brain a break from the constant input. When you get back, you aren't in a food coma, you're recharged. The book is full of these tactical experiments. One of the most famous ones is the caffeine nap.
Now, this sounds counterintuitive, but here is how it works. You drink a cup of coffee, and then immediately, before the caffeine kicks in, you close your eyes for 15 minutes. Science tells us that it takes about 20 minutes for caffeine to hit your bloodstream. So, while you nap, your brain clears out adenosine. That's the chemical that makes you feel tired. Then, right as you wake up, the caffeine hits. It is a double whammy of energy that is way more effective than just powering through. They also talk about faking the sunset to get better sleep, and the importance of just seeing the sky. Things that sound simple, but we often forget to do. But here is the catch. You can pick your highlight, you can laser focus, and you can energize your body like a caveman. But how do you know if any of this is actually working for you? We are all different, right? Well, that is where the final piece of the puzzle comes in. You have to stop guessing and start taking notes.
Start taking notes. That is the fourth and final step. Reflect. This is where the book really shifts from being just a list of life hacks to something more like a personal science experiment. Jake and John are really clear about this. They say you are a sample size of one. What works for a tech guy in San Francisco might not work for a busy parent in Chicago, or you. So instead of trying to be perfect, you just have to be observant. Here is the simple evening ritual they suggest. Before you go to bed, you take just a few minutes to jot down a quick score for the day. It's not a diary, it's data.
You ask yourself a few specific questions. First, did I make time for my highlight? It's a simple yes or no. Second, how focused was I? You rate your laser level on a scale of 1 to 10. And third, how was my energy? Again, 1 to 10. Then you just write a tiny note about what tactics you used. Maybe you tried the caffeine nap we just talked about, or maybe you left your phone in the other room. Did it work? Did it fail miserably? By doing this, you create a feedback loop. You stop guessing why you feel exhausted or distracted, and you start seeing patterns. Maybe you realize that you actually focus better when you don't check the news in the morning, or that a sugary breakfast tanks your energy by 11 a.m. It turns your life into a lab, where you are the scientist and the subject. You treat the days that don't go well not as failures, but just as data points. And once you have that data, you stop looking for time and you start actually making it. Which leads us to the big picture. Because all these steps, highlight, laser, energize, reflect, they all lead to one fundamental shift in mindset.
So let's bring it all home and look at that big picture. When you boil it all down, make time isn't really about productivity hacks or squeezing an extra hour out of your sleep. It's about a simple 4-step framework that you rinse and repeat every single day. First, you have highlight.
This is your North Star for the day. You wake up and ask yourself, what is the one thing I want to remember about today? It's about being proactive, not reactive, choosing where your attention goes before the world chooses for you. Then you go into laser mode. This is where you lock the door on distractions. You put up barriers against the infinity pools, those apps and feeds that scroll forever, so you can actually get that highlight done. You're not relying on willpower. You're designing your environment so that focus is the default option.
Third, you energize. You treat your body like the battery it is. You eat real food, you move around, you unplug. You give your brain the fuel it needs to actually function. Because you can't focus if you're running on fumes and sugar crashes. And finally, you reflect. You take a look at the data. You ask what worked, what didn't, and you tweak the system for tomorrow. You treat your life like a lab, constantly experimenting, constantly refining. And that brings us to the core truth of this entire book, the one thing I really want you to walk away with. We often talk about finding time, like it's loose change lost in the couch cushions. We say, I wish I could find the time to write a book, or I can't find the time to exercise.
But Jake Knapp and John Zeratsky are telling us something crucial here. You will never find time. It doesn't just appear. You have to make it. You have to aggressively clear space for the things that matter, or else the day will just fill up with other people's priorities. If you want to dive deeper into these 87 tactics, and trust me, we only scratched the surface, I've put a link to the hard copy of the book right in the description. It's worth having on your shelf as a manual for when things get chaotic. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you're subscribed to The Last Read. We're going to keep decoding the best books out there to help you live a better, smarter life. So, go pick your highlight for tomorrow. Start the experiment, because at the end of the day, your time is your life. Don't let it scroll away.